Hey, everybody, welcome to Five on Friday. Let's start with some introductions. You want to go Amy, John, Kenneth?
Sure. So this is Amy Quick. I am a inside sales director for Striim, and we're going to be talking about Striim today and just kind of how we introduce it to new customers. So yeah, it's good to be here.
So John?
I'm Jon Stern. In the pictures, I held up the only trophy I've ever won. It was a Future Stars 1986. Ended up probably not coming together, although it did say San Diego Padres. So I did move to San Diego. So they nailed that part, even if, the baseball career never came together. So instead, I co-founded a company called Ringpin, helping brands sell more in real life, and super excited to be back with the Five on Friday crew. It's some of my favorite group of people and always a good time.
Kenny Adler, Inside Sales Director at Striim, same as Amy. Here's my little Jamie Benn bobblehead. That's for you, Francois. Work a little hockey into here. There you go. To have a little fun. And hey, there we go. There we go. There we go. So each Friday I'll show up a new bobblehead for you guys. So we've got about 10 weeks up here, so we're good to go. Anyway, looking forward to chatting with you guys and learning and hoping to share a little bit of knowledge back your way as well. So thanks.
And we've decided your name in English is Francis, right? So for Francis, do you want to give us an intro?
Yeah, I'm Francois. I'm based in Canada. I'm the chief snowblower operator here in Canada. I sell software as well on the side, but I'm just part of this crazy crew that Patrick and Amy, we call Five on Friday. So I'm looking forward to learning about is it Striim or Striim?
Striim.
Striim. All right.
Every part of it
It'll all
wants to say
make
Striim.
sense. It'll all make sense in a minute.
Beautiful. Okay.
Hopefully.
Awesome. And I'm Patrick Downs. I'm a deviant, and I think that's all you need to know about me. So Amy, why are you here today?
Well, okay, so Kenny and I just started at Striim. We've probably added like 25 new people to this company in like the last 3 weeks. So we are kind of in an interesting situation with Striim because they have been around for about 8 years. They sell data streaming software. So like you're streaming data from a source target database or a source database to like cloud targets, right? And the reason they do that is because, you've got these old databases that are really big and voluminous and full of data, and it's really hard to get it up into the cloud so that they can kind of analyze it and use that data more effectively. So Striim kind of streamlines that process, right? See what I did there. So up until this point, like Striim has only had an inbound lead sales process. So they've grown as much as they have with just simply inbound leads. A lot of times we're getting leads from like the cloud providers, like so Azure, Google, AWS, and Snowflake. And so they've been able to kind of maintain this steady growth with just simply inbound. But now they're kind of on that trajectory towards wanting to go public in a few years. And that means that we need to really ramp up revenue, and specifically just our ARR. So they've hired a ton of marketing and sales people to basically help build their entire outbound sales process. So that's why Kenny and I are here, because we're really in the early stages of starting to develop and hone a message that we can kind of take out to the masses as opposed to just simply relying on those leads coming in. So yeah. That's a little bit about that. Striim. You have anything to add, Kenny?
No, you hit kind of the nail on the head. I mean, the organization's in full scale growth mode across every part. You mentioned marketing and sales, but operations and really everything. And so while we both, everybody on this call is a very experienced seller, Amy and I and Justin, our teammate, along with other people, are tasked with building out some of these processes and say, hey, no, this is how we should do it versus we've done this in the past, it hasn't worked, whatever, right? So it's actually pretty exciting, and we get to sell too. So it's definitely new and different every day. But Amy, I think we'll back this up. The people that we work with are very supportive and a lot of really smart people. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And what we'd love to kind of hear from y'all today is, we're starting at the beginning, right? So how do we introduce Striim to a broader market? Most of our customers being inbound, but a lot of the customers are really, really enterprise customers. So like Macy's is a customer, UPS. I mean, these are big dogs and players in their fields, and we've done really, really well in that large enterprise space. Now what we're trying to do is narrow it down to like, 2 billion and under, like really truly commercial space. And that means that we're having to craft and hone like our outbound message. So we wanted to share with you kind of the initial intro to Striim and kind of get your opinion on whether or not we're clearly communicating what it is that we do. So I guess as far as ICP, like to consider who we're talking to, and Kenny, like feel free to add on to this, but we're going to be mainly talking to the people in these organizations that handle data. So data analysts, database administrators, data scientists. That's really our core target audience there as far as the titles to who we're selling to. And as opposed to like
VP of data and data infrastructure folks as
Yeah.
well, right? So
Yep.
you want to obviously get the pain from the people that are doing it every day, but the management buy in, right? And those
Right.
guys, they're reaching into the chief data officer, the CIO, CTO. These are our problems, blah, 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 right? So.
Yeah, but our main foot in the door really is to get those technical people that are kind of in the trenches on the management director side. Like those are the ones that are usually aware of the top down data, their overall data modernization projects. So that's like our target, persona, or not personas, titles. The types of companies we're going for, transportation and logistics are really strong. Finance, healthcare are big deals, and retail, especially retail, given COVID-19 and the necessity to take it from brick and mortar to a truly like digital account, like digital type store where they can transact in both places seamlessly. So that's, and then again, we mentioned kind of like for us in the commercial team, the accounts are going to be 2 billion annual revenue and under. So pretty wide pool there. I think our minimum for as far as like head count, like there needs to be at least like a couple hundred people on a team. So we're not talking really small accounts. We're talking about those chunkier mid-sized enterprise level accounts. So, but yeah, that's a little bit on like who we're trying to sell to.
Cool.
And
you guys, you want to walk us through kind of the scenario would be you've like, John's I don't know, manager of the data at whatever, some health co. And he's, you got in with that first email or GIF or meme. And now it's like, hey, I got a couple slides to warm you up and let's see how he responds.
Yeah. And I like be brutal. Like these slides are they're not like, they're in flux. Let's just put it this way. Marketing is actually completely rebranding and redesigning the brand. So this is all like up for debate, I guess is a fair way.
Do you want to do like the format where you just like, you guys present it and we all kind of give you real time, or do you want to do like a role play where like Patrick or John are like the manager of data and they're
no, I think we want to present it more and like
Okay.
and like give and
Tell
get
you
your
what, let's do
feedback on.
you do the present role play, and then I'll do it real time,
Okay.
slide by slide. How about that?
Okay. Yeah. So let me share my screen here. I'm going to share it with my notes on it so you guys can see like the notes that we have. All right. Can you see my, or is it too small, or can you guys kind of see?
We can see it.
Okay. So I think this first call would be between 15, probably 15-minute, kind of more like a cold call, just to get them interested, to understand if there's like a necessity to talk more. So on this first slide, they really want us to do like basic introductions, hey, I'm Amy from Striim, and thanks for taking the call today, kind of thing. and really set it up in the sense that it's like, this, the purpose of this call is really to understand more about the customer and what brought them to the call and really how Striim can help. And the importance behind this is, I'm going to go ahead and jump to the next slide, is because of what we do, because there's certain use cases that we're going to cover. And it's very, very technical product. So I'm going to give you guys, I guess I'll do the high level on what Striim is and what it does. And I want you to really tell me if you think it makes sense when I explain what we do. So Striim is going to shorten and speed up the data migration process, both up and downstream. So it's a real-time enterprise data streaming platform that allows you to transport your data from its source to its cloud destination and back again for true digital transformation. So we're going to help you access multiple data sources that are either on-premise or in the cloud and seamlessly move them to your cloud or multi-cloud environment in real time, powering your ever-changing business operations and needs. So you can truly use your data to connect with your customers, suppliers, partners in this digital economy. So the cloud has unlocked unprecedented levels of innovation in the enterprise, and Striim really enables its clients to drive data to decisions, whether on-prem or in the cloud. And it delivers the right data at the right time through a streaming process to ensure your journey to the cloud is successful and you're able to deliver new capabilities the line of business is expecting. So sorry, that was a bit of a mouthful, but this is a deck we've all been pitching in on. So some of this is new to me. Anyhow, does that make sense? In general, if we were pitching to a non-technical person, what we're doing?
I have no idea what you do from that.
Okay. All right. I'm going to jump in. So here's what I would, with this one, Amy hit a lot of the key points, but what I would start with is, the questions of how'd you find us, that kind of thing. What do you know about us? Get some of those things out on the table. But then the elevator pitch would be, Striim is a streamlined platform or streaming platform, continuous data integration, taking all of your applications, your legacy data to the cloud with unprecedented, never before seen speed and accuracy. What that means to you is you're able to drive data decisions much quicker. As you can see on this slide, we can take it from any database source with Striim and move it to the cloud. We're completely cloud agnostic, but to give you an analogy of how it works, and Amy, I'm totally going to use the marble analogy, and I think it'll make sense for these guys too, but I'm going to use it today. What Striim is I want all three of you guys to think about all of your data in these huge containers of marbles. Every marble is different. They're different shapes, different sizes, different colors, 9 huge containers, and that represents your data, and you need it in one location. So if you dump all those containers together into one, you've got your data in one location. But what can you do with it? What Striim does is it takes those marbles, and as you're dumping them from those 9 containers into one, it organizes it, it cultivates it, it puts it in a place where you can use it towards driving business decisions for the organization. Does that help?
Marbles help a lot. But
I even
that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
So to kind of even put it in a more granular perspective. So you're taking the marbles, and as we're dumping them into let's say a collective data lake or data warehouse or whatever, so the scenario is all these customers have let's say they have 5 different types of databases that they store all their data in. They have one for inventory, one for human resources, one for the business side or finance, and they're there's a ton of them, right? And they're all different types of technology, different vendors that own them. And they need to take all that data and somehow get it to the cloud so that they can utilize it in cloud applications to hyperdrive their business, right? Because everything is moving at the speed of light, in the world right now. Go ahead.
Sorry. And some of the, real time or more relative is a better term for it, more the relative business cases is Macy's, Albertsons, and Lululemon. Albertsons with the grocery delivery, right? That's changed immensely in the last 18 to 24 months because of COVID, but also just because of convenience, right? How many people on here used to order groceries 2 years ago?
Probably zero.
How many order now?
Just got an order today.
And then with like Macy's, so that now you're into retail, right? Buying stuff online, buying brick and mortar, whatever, right? And so Lululemon, right? You go buy a pair of pants and they say, hey, I need these in a 34. Okay, great. We got them here. Well, do you have them in black? Well, let me check. And they look on their device. Well, if Amy bought them in Sacramento, California 5 minutes ago for her husband, they're not available for you. So those are some of the things. Whereas, and then also UPS, right? So how many people have tracked the UPS package in the last 6 to 8 months? You see where the truck is all the time. That's Striim taking UPS's database, moving it to the cloud and being able to access it real time, tell you where that driver is and tell him when he's going to get to 1234 Main Street and your new tennis shoes are going to be delivered.
Yeah.
So my suggestion was going to be, it's very different what you said, who you were going after. These are all people like hopped up on Mountain Dew all day, deep in the data. And then you said, if you're going for non-technical people like us, the easiest way is to tell a story of a customer using it, and we can understand, how FedEx uses it or Lululemon. And I think starting with a story, Lululemon uses it to make sure that every customer that comes in store gets the latest data about the inventory or the product or whatever it is. That's something that non-technical people can put their finger on. When in the beginning, Patrick might not have known what you were doing, starting with the technical stuff. So obviously it depends who your target is, but a customer, this is what I pulled from yours, is that you already have a bunch of customers from inbound. You're not like reworking the wheel of what you're doing. You're just reworking the wheel of who you're going after. So
Right.
You already have the advantage of customer stories and customer words. And you can take those existing customer stories and words and use them as your presentation for everybody else. And that's stuff that like we can put our finger on and understand. And I think that's so much easier for non-technical people. I've done the same thing so many times where I come in with technical jargon and enterprise data movement and digital transformation. And I mean, I know everyone loves digital transformation, but that could mean 10 billion different things.
Yeah.
If you say, this is how someone's using it, that is so much more relatable.
So perfect chance to go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Exactly to your point. So cloud adoption, cloud first, cloud analytics. This is the maturation of the digital transformation. Some companies are at cloud adoption right now. They're just now getting to data modernization, where some are full cloud analytics with machine learning and large scale analytics over on the far right, purple. So yeah, John, absolutely. And I know, Amy, I think, and we can talk about this later, but I think we're just going to have to scratch the surface with the technology people, right? And you've done this before. I'm not telling you anything you haven't ever done, but any CIO, CTO, they just want to just tell me about the sausage, not how it's made, right? How good does it taste? And that's all we're going to have to do. And so we get the pain from those people and then, go up the food chain. But this one is really good. And you see how this still builds off the previous slide, because on the left, it still shows all the database sources and then it shows where you can take it, but that cloud adoption, cloud analytics, cloud application, then cloud analytics is that journey to the cloud, if you will.
So does that make sense for you guys looking at this from, a sales perspective in the middle there? Because I think that's a little, I mean, it's been beaten into Kenny in our heads like the last couple of weeks, but I think for even technical people, that middle section there is where we seem to be getting hung up on conversations. Because, okay, so to reframe it, the moving data from source databases, right? Like these old legacy dinosaur on-premise databases into the cloud is really hard, because this database holds the data and it's like a vault, and it sometimes speaks a different language than the cloud databases or the cloud applications that they want to get it to. So they not only have to pull the data off, right, but they also have to sometimes like reframe the language and clean all the data up before it gets to the cloud application, so they can actually use the clean data, right, for their business needs. So go ahead.
That's why healthcare, finance and transportation and logistics are so key for us, right? Because imagine if you logged into your Chase Bank app and they said the app's down for 45 days, right? The systems that are in place to move stuff to the cloud, move databases to the cloud, take 30 days minimum, right? Let's take that to healthcare. What happens if your grandmother's in the hospital and they're like, we'll give you a patient update in 35 days? You'd lose your mind, right? And so that's why it's so key for Striim to be able to do it real time, where we can take all this information from the databases, real time, move it over, have it in the cloud where there's no interruption, no latency, no issues like that. Same thing with transportation and logistics, right? People lose their minds when American Airlines cancels, half a day of flights. Imagine if they canceled 30 days of flights, right? So, and we just talked about the shipping piece too. Same thing there.
So
I'd say, Amy, to kind of answer your initial question, like, so back to John's and Patrick's point around like keep it simple. When I looked at this, my eyes went to slide 5. If I was the CIO, like tell me this relatable story, the stuff in the middle, I'm zoned out. But for this specific slide, I kind of liked the analogy of the marbles you guys were using. And in my mind, I'm thinking even for that technical audience, I would have a slide like that precedes this, that basically tells this story with
marbles,
Legos, marbles, pieces, like, people in that space, like you don't want to be too pandering, like they don't even understand like they get it. But if you kind of go, hey, we know you got these buckets with all these things and moving them into one big bucket is going to make a big mess.
No, I like that. I think that's what we're missing, is kind of a layman's term visual slide that doesn't have a ton of words on it. Because one thing that we run into is in the conversations is a lot of the conversations I've had, they're just in this cloud adoption space right here, where they want to move the data and they want to replicate it. They want to basically have a record of the data. Okay. And it held somewhere else. So this is like step 1. And then these are all like, this is like a must have. These are all would be nice to have for a lot of businesses still. And so that's why I was asking you guys if any of this makes sense, because we can do all of these things, but I don't think the customers are understanding necessarily that because this is what differentiates us. Here.
Would you say it's worth almost having like the whatever the marble conversation is first, but then maybe a slide like this, and you hide the middle columns and probe, and if they're like, oh yeah, we need something that helps us with blah, blah, blah. And then you go, bazinga, we've got it.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
I'm going to use the marble analogy with slide 2.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we can even have like a visual even of like what that looks like the data being dumped into. Okay. I like that.
I challenge with slide 2 and 3, and I realize I'm making it sound easy. But like we all know, like when there's lots of stuff on there, like my eyes are just like bouncing right now. I'm like looking at everything.
That's what I was gonna. You try to keep it to 1 point per slide, and maybe you break out all 3 of those different middle columns on number 3. But like here, I have no idea where I'm supposed to look at this thing.
This one is giving me a panic attack.
Yeah, and then okay, so you asked us to be brutal, so I'm gonna like.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is what we need.
So then, like some of these icons are the same for like cloud data warehouses versus data warehouses. And like, it doesn't make sense to me if you're supposed to show a difference between cloud and data, and this is all linear. To me, it should be some sort of loop that the data is being updated from all these things, and it's not like a linear motion of where the data is moving. But like, there's so much extra on each slide. Like I think 90% of each slide actually has to be deleted to be totally frank with you, and just have one line of the words of what the point you're trying to get across, and then one image that supports that line. And like if you go back to slide number 2, I don't even understand what that blue thing and the green thing is, and the magnifying glass on the clip art. Like none of that adds to what the story is. It just kind of confuses me, and it's like extra pictures in there. So really, I kind of think of it like poker. I tell people every bet that you make, every check that you make needs to mean something. Like you're either saying that my hand is strong, or I'm weak, I want you, or whatever, induce a bluff. But like all these icons, they don't add to the story to me. In fact, they do the opposite, because I can't tell if that's supposed to be like a device that someone's using in store that gets updated, or is it someone's desktop screen? Why is one green, one's blue? What's the magnifying glass on? So it's just like your eyes, you look at these and like, what am I supposed to be getting out of this slide? So like one point and one picture to like, supplement that point. And this is probably, no one likes a long pitch deck, but this is probably like 10 to 12 slides worth of stuff crammed onto 4. And it takes away the value of each slide because there's so much stuff. Like Francois said, like, I don't even know where to look on any of this really. And that's,
well, you're going to love this one.
Okay, I already saw it. I'm scared. I've been scared. I know Patrick has too. I was scared for you to click on that one.
But see, this is a really key slide for us.
You have kitties, Patrick. Look at the kitty.
But Kenny's got a point. He does have a point for our audience.
This is a very key slide for us for a couple different reasons, right? Because this is an easy transition. If we're talking, so let's just say situation A, we're talking to a CTO. He's going to be like, Patrick, I don't need to see this. I don't want to see this, right? But the way you pivot this is say, hey, this is a very granular slide that when we transition to a demo, our next goal, right, that your technical teams and our technical teams will really want to dive into. And all these, and so I had a demo this morning with some guys in the UK, and Ian, one of our longtime consultants, he was talking through this slide, did a fantastic job with it, but he did it with the lead developer and another technical guy at this company in the UK, right? So if we're talking to the technical people, I say pull the ripcord and let them go, right? Because they'll love this, and you can just sit back and nod your head and go, great, yep, love it. But from a CTO perspective, he's going to see this and go, just like Patrick, I don't need to know all that. I'm this far, and these guys want to do a demo. Let's get our technical people online, right? So while I agree with you, there's a lot going on here, but you can use it to your benefit to pivot very, very easily depending on the persona.
Yeah, like this is, even though there's a lot going on this slide, this is the one slide where I'm like, okay, for the target personas that we're going after, they're going to see this and they're going to understand everything that they're looking at, because this is actually like like this and this. Okay, great. Okay, but this tells them exactly what data, like where the data sources are that we actually relate to and where we can target, and even the parser language, like all of this is like very, very important for us to understand, like, can we actually help them with moving data from one source to one target? Because we can't cover every use case. So in a discovery call, this is like narrowing it down, like, hey, do you see where we line up? Because if they don't, if like there's a couple of database systems that we don't actually, we can't pull data from, we don't have a collector for it yet. So this is like a really good segue for them to be like, oh, I don't see X on here. Do you guys collect data from that? And we can be like, you know what? No, we don't. That's on the roadmap, but as of now, we don't. So it doesn't make sense to keep talking because we can't help them. 90% of the customers we can, but I don't know if this is,
I think it's clear to me that like the Mountain Dew drinkers, as Jon called them, they get excited when they see this, right? Because they're like, oh, okay, we understand. We got all these messy marbles over here. You're gonna put them over here. But humor me, Amy. Like, and I know you're new here, but the Amy I know, like slide 2 would have started with like a goofy picture on the left of somebody from like the 1940s. In some computer room, and then the picture on the right would be like some person in a fighter jet, and that's how you would be starting the convo. And then maybe but again, it would be that executive level. They know it's like you're going from the Stone Ages to like Tron, and that's the story I think you're trying to tell. But the Mountain Dewers, they need to see this. Like, make no mistake.
For sure.
Yeah. And
why not have the columns in the same order? Like if you're going database, then cloud, so you can like kind of match up.
Well, but
Yeah.
you can also see like on the left-hand side, remember how I said they build off of one another, right? So the slide 2, you've got all the database icons on the left side. You still got them in slide 3, you still got them in slide 4, but it's just in depth, more in depth, right? You see that? And then same thing, you've got the cloud on the right-hand side in all of them, but it's just, they build off of one another, but they resonate to different people. So you've got to fight through them a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I just mean the actual order, just like match them up so that they're going,
Oh, yeah.
you have like database and then
Oh, yeah,
files
I
and then
see what you
files in the bottom and cloud up at top, just so it's easier to see.
No,
Yeah.
aesthetically, I see exactly what you're talking about. That makes sense.
So I know
And
you
so-
guys said you're just kind of starting to knock on the doors, but are you finding, or are you not there yet? Like some people giving you feedback yet, or you're like this is what
for
you're prepping?
cold outbound, like zero feedback at this point. I mean, literally Kenny and I, since we've been there, we've just been still getting inbound leads from like just generic organic traffic on our website or
Yeah.
responses to like ads and stuff. And most of them are requesting like demos and downloading forms or downloading the trial version of it online. And that's like, an instant conversation starter. So those are really easy because these are people that are already in market. They're looking for a solution.
Yeah.
So those are, we could show them these slides and it makes sense to them because chances are they're already looking at like other solutions as well. What we're trying to do is educate a broader market. And here's why. We were talking with one of our seasoned sales guys the other day on an all hands call, and he mentioned that every customer conversation he has, they're bringing up all of our competitors, that they've gone through all of these competitors first and vetted their solutions and found big gaping holes. And then they end up at Striim. And so they're wasting all of this time looking and doing POCs with all these vendors trying to like get a solution that would work. And Striim is actually, there's differentiators that set us apart from all of our competitors. So it's considered scarcity in the marketplace. Like what we do is very, very specific and nuanced, and it's different from any of our competitors.
Right.
So what I'm trying to do is figure out, and that goes back to this slide. How do we communicate that?
Amy,
Yeah.
let's hit the last slide. I got about 3-4 minutes and I gotta.
Yeah, this is our last slide. What do you think about this?
They're gonna like this, and I can already tell.
I'm calming down. I'm feeling better. Less
Really?
anxious. Yeah. Finding my center.
Jazz hands.
Yeah.
But I would start that first one to the executive level. I'd cherry pick the logos in their industry and then just tell a story.
So to Francois's point, Amy, the demo that we did this morning that Ian did, this was slide 2.
Yeah, see, that's what it was for him as well on my demo. And I actually like that because in the world that we're selling into, this is street cred. And most companies don't want to brag. Like, I mean, I think brag slides are ridiculous most of the time, but there's a reason why this slide is really important because of this right here. Who actually created the product. So in the technical world, the founder of Striim also founded Golden Gate and WebLogic before it. And he sold both of those companies to like Oracle, and I can't remember who WebLogic sold to for like billions of dollars. Okay.
They both WebLogic. So it's the same leadership team. They all left Oracle. They created WebLogic, sold it back to Oracle for 1.1. Went and same leadership team, same thing, created Golden Gate, sold that back to Oracle for 1.4 billion. And this Striim is their third go round.
Yeah. Striim is built on the technology that they started with WebLogic, kind of matured out with Golden Gate. And now we're taking it one step further. And what we're doing is basically making it real time. And we're able to capture and like actually manipulate the data while it's moving. And no one else can do that. Like none of our competitors can actually do any of the manipulation while it's the data's in motion. So,
And the thing about Golden Gate is it's data replication, it's data integration, but this is how smart these dudes are, or all of them are, right? You have to have 5 different Golden Gate applications to do what Striim does by itself. So if you were going to John, you've got your head of any transportation company, and you were like, hey, I've got to get my data from the old legacy database to the cloud. You'd have to buy 5 applications from Oracle with Golden Gate that would cost you $1.5 million, when you could buy the same thing from Striim, do it all with our platform for about 200 grand.
So this is the stuff, that's basically what I was wanting to see in these slides. You said, Amy, everyone's looking at these competitors and they're coming to you because the competitors can't do what you do. I didn't see on a slide in layman's terms, hey, people come to Striim because we do, it takes 5 applications typically to do what we do in one, or ours, eliminates this problem that all the other ones still have, or something like that. And just like the real quick, kind of current state to future state of why someone would use yours over any other platform, and not in the weeds. Because you said in the beginning, you just want to like get the interest here. That's why someone's going to use Striim instead of these other people. And to me, like, there's too much digging in the slides of why someone would pick you over these other ones, because it seems like very, very specific targets that you're going to have to go after. Like, this isn't going to be a broad, outbound use case to everyone. You're going after these people, and they probably have experience with your competitors or a similar product in market. What's the lean thing? And like, I think that both you and Ken said these things to supplement the slides, and maybe even listen to this 5 on Friday again. Think what those things that you just said, and those were probably the most impactful thing, and put them on a slide. It used to take 5 software to do this. Now Striim does it in one. Someone would be like, oh, that's cool.
One, thank you very much for having me. I got to run. Thank you for the feedback. And we're gonna sharpen this up, and hopefully we'll do some damage with it. But nice to meet you all, and thanks for having me.
Thanks, Kenny.
You got it.
Hi, Kenny.
Thanks, y'all.
So to that point, John, we actually have use cases that are public and that our customers allow us to use. And Equifax is a prime example. We have a quote from them on file where they tried for 18 months to migrate their data to the cloud with other vendors and were not successful, and ended up using Striim to make it happen. And they were like blown away by that. So they've gone on record. They've done like webinars and presentations where they've talked about that. What I think would be huge is if we had like our intro slide, and then maybe this background on Striim second, so we could kind of set it up and be like, hey, look, we know what we're doing. Like this is how successful we've been in the past, blah, blah, blah. And then I even think that in lieu of maybe like the lead investors here, which I mean, yeah, okay, we're well funded, but I don't think our customers, like the data analyst doesn't care about that. I think like having a quote by Equifax or whoever saying like, hey, look, we tried to do something for, with other vendors for 18 months and weren't successful, and finally found Striim and were able to get it done. I think that right there would be more beneficial in them sitting there and carrying on the rest of the conversation with confidence than like, well, here's all the cool pictures and stuff that we do, and blah blah blah.
I think stating like, what do they call that? Like, why should I listen to you? Right.
It's the problem statement. Yeah. If the customer says it, that's perfect. I use the quote,
But it's also providing a little bit of confidence and authority. Like, why am I listening to Amy for the next 5 minutes? Well, because I work for this company and they've done this, they've solved these problems. Then they're like, okay, it's kind of like that. Who was on here a while back? They called it like the cliffhanger. It's like, you want to give them that slide where they're like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, what's next? But slide 2 right now is like, whatever the opposite of a cliffhanger is, like, you want to jump off the cliff.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and the good thing about like the reason I wanted to come on a call with you guys is because we're at that stage where everything that we have currently can be imploded and redone. So our marketing team, they are basically coming in and like from the ground up, they're looking at everything we're doing for like inbound lead generation and all of that, and looking at the entire brand and redeveloping everything. And I like kind of wanted to put a laser focus on that because I'm in charge of doing the copyright and helping build out the outbound sales process. So I want the marketing and the outbound to match and mirror each other, especially like the messaging. And I feel like we've got a lot of like, we're trying to like hone our, this is what we do. And, like all this stuff, Striim shortens and speeds up the data migration process, both up and downstream. Okay, fine, great. But I think it's going to be more effective if we kind of do a cliffhanger with like customer testimonial and then jump into, so what does Striim actually do? Well, this is what we do. But I think this is, even though we're talking very technical, I think this is very jargony. And I want to put it into layman's terms more. So I liked Kenny's analogy on the marbles. Did that make sense to you guys? Or maybe we could like clean
I
that
think
up.
everybody liked the marbles. And not to get like nerdy, but I think again, just like this human psychology of on this screen, Jon brought up some good points, like those three things above the cloud, like they're just distractions.
Yeah.
But I still personally feel like if you're telling a story and you're trying to keep their attention, I use like the animations or whatever you want to call it. Like, so this screen would maybe be, it would be white, and then it would be what we do. And then maybe this little box on the left, you'd preface it and then you'd let it come in. Because if you vomit this on the screen right away, they like Patrick said, it's like anxiety. Like everybody's like, squirrel, what's happening? Like you've lost your audience, I think.
I agree. And I wonder if even maybe the first slide is kind of like an animated understanding or an animated analogy. And then we move into more of the technical slide where we're like, okay, like I think this slide, okay, so I like that. I like maybe using an analogy slide and maybe cleaning it up and making it like so you're presenting it instead of just like on the screen. And then this one is the one that bothers me the most because we want to tell them that we do all these things because these things in the middle are differentiators. So they're the one thing that none of our competitors do. And the real kicker is we can do all of this while the data is flowing back and forth. So it's considered in memory, which is massive. Like that's the real catalyst, right? I mean, that's the real clincher right there is it's like, hey, not only can we help you with this first one, which is like the first phase of their data migration process, right? It's like the point one is we need to get the data from A to B and we need to make sure it's clean and we don't lose anything. Okay, fine. But then from there, they're going to need to build on that. And they can do that with Striim. So this is like phase one, this could be phase two, this is phase three, but I feel like this slide, like Jon was saying, like it's too much. And I'm wondering if like we can build this out and even in an intro clause. So it's like, hey, most of our customers are here when we first talk to them. Can you attest to that? Is that where you're at in your journey? And kind of get them talking a little bit about what they're looking for in their data migration journey. And then slide 2 and 3 is saying, okay, well, once you've nailed this, we can help you nail this. And then, oh, by the way, we can actually even help you nail this. And we do all of this while the data is moving. So there's no lag, there's no blah, 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 right? Then you spout all the different, but so I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Like you're leading the conversation to understanding like the bigger picture. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to know if this is going to be a customer that's interested in us moving data one time or continuously, or we're going to move it continuously, but then there's going to be other projects that we can actually help them with and sell and kind of expand within that account. So I don't know. Tell me your thoughts on that.
I'm looking at this slide and I feel like it, just speaking out loud, like on the left, you've got kind of this today statement, like your problem today, all that middle stuff is hidden and you can bring it up as you ask questions that make them, that are leading them to saying, yes, I need the stuff in the blue or the green or the purple. But right now it's just like, it's distracting. So it's like, the left you'd have, today. On the right, then maybe you gradually bring that up and saying, this is where we understand you want to be. And then you kind of find out the questions that'll surface up, then basically saying, yes, all the stuff in the middle green column I want. And you're like, great, deliver it. But
okay.
Right now it's like, it's just it's too distracting. I don't know,
Yeah.
John or Patrick.
Did you make it like 3 slides? I know you always
I
want to
think you
go
did.
lower, but I feel like this in general, it feels like you were trying to cram too much into each one to make it short. And if you keep the same amount of content and just lengthen the amount, I think it would make more sense. Like if you started with the stuff on the outside first, here's what we can send back and forth between, and then you do a second slide that's just the stuff in the middle. Here are the different use cases, and then a third that puts it all together. Here's everything here. So they have time to like process the different bits of information before it's all in front of them. I think I would
Yeah.
feel less panicky.
Okay.
And what I was going to suggest is, kind of taking a step back. You said basically in the beginning, you just want to give people a taste and let them see what it is. I didn't catch like any story from this, what's the story like? And I think I'll shit sandwich this. You guys have such a good situation because you actually have customers already, and you have use cases, and you have customer words and all that type of stuff. Most people, when they're starting outbound, they're trying to do outbound to get their initial business or whatever, and they don't have those things, and they have to create everything from scratch. And you said something like, we're trying to tell them we do this. We're trying to tell them we do all this. Tell your customer stories, what the problems that the customers had and why they came to you in the first place. Let your new users relate to those problems that they had. Like, oh, we were trying to do that and we couldn't do it. Instead of telling them and just like kind of spitting a ton of facts at them,
Yeah.
show those stories. Oh, Lululemon used us for continuous data integration because they needed to update their data on the fly. Equifax used us for the data modernization or whatever, and you show what you do through these customer stories that are relatable to the people. I didn't catch any story in this whole presentation of like what the problem was, why people are using it, anything like that. And as being in sales, like you need to tell a story, and they'll understand much better if you tell all of this through your current customers' eyes and words. And you have all those already because you have good current customers, and most people don't have that advantage. So instead of like your words, I would even go talk to your big customers and be like, hey, ask them all, why did you use us? And just get like one sentence from each of them. And then you have these sentences like, oh, people come to us because of this or whatever. And you build that story, and then your users are going to be like, oh, that makes sense to me. Like we had that one time, and then this is how, and then you get into like the all the details about it. But without that story, they don't know why they're going to come to you or why they would switch or why it's better or anything like that.
I love that. I think you're dead on. And I think that was the big problem that I had with this deck is it's like, it's not something that I would normally present. Like, matter of fact, I would rather not present a deck and just have a conversation, but I feel like what I can do now is take this kind of feedback back to marketing, and especially because they're the ones that are going to help us revamp all of this. And then we could kind of get our alignment together with utilizing those use cases that we already have. They're already built out, they're done. And then build these into the intro conversations so that we're not just spouting a bunch of facts and garbage and features and functions and all that. We're talking about how we can actually help them through our customers' eyes. So no, that's great. I'm glad that you guys, basically agreed with me on that, because that was the one thing that I've been stuck on and kind of beating my head against the wall. And I think Kenny too is like, this is a very complicated technology, and we're trying to articulate it in a way that makes sense to our customers or to people that don't know what we do, like in our space. And I think the easiest way to do that is to tell stories. So thank you.
I'm sure in a few months after you've told the story many, many times, you're going to have some memes in there, and
for
there'll be more
sure.
humor, because like this stuff's super complicated and people like, everybody likes to have a laugh, right? So you'll have to find that perfect GIF.
I already have an email that's perfect, and it's going to be, the subject line is going to be row, row, row your boat. And then in the body of the email, it's going to be ... gently down the stream. And then I'm going to go and everyone's like, you're so dumb. I'm like, watch it work. Watch
Stream
it
with
work.
2 eyes.
Yeah, stream with 2 eyes. But no, I really appreciate it. And I'd love to like come back on when we've revamped everything and like throw it at you guys again in a couple months and get your thoughts, because it makes a difference.
Beauty.
Thank you. I think
Yeah,
we're
It's awesome.
I think we're
Yeah.
done.
And I hope
We are.
Kenny watches this. I just want to say, Kenny, I really like you, man. You're a cool guy.
He's-
I didn't
he
get to
is.
say that, but I like him.
Kenny's a cool dude. He's a former pro golfer, and like he's hooking the whole office up on tickets to like Stars games and stuff because he lives across from the actual like hockey rink. So he's everyone's favorite person right now.
I gotta remember that next time I'm in his house.
There you go. Exactly.
And give me some tickets,
All
man.
right.
I said that before I
Yeah.
knew that too. I genuinely like
He is a good guy. All
I will
right.
stop the recording
Thanks,
here.
Amy.
Bye, Kenny.
Bye.